Let's do this quick little card that has a message, possibly from someone we're missing. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to Deliberately Creative. I'm Stephanie, and we're going to be using these things to make winter cards perfect for holiday gifts or just to send out to somebody to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I'm using the Cotman, Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor pan. There might be some of the Dr. P.H. Martin's iridescent 1R silver, because that's my favorite right now. There might be a little bit of some Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed proof white. None of this is sponsored. And these are my Arteza 100% cotton watercolor paper greeting cards. Already folded. I've taped them down to this plastic board. It's a corrugated plastic, Coroplast. And I got one sheet of it. I cut it up into a lot of different pieces so I can tape my watercolor down onto it. I also use it as a palette when I'm using my gouache, but this time it's watercolor. So remember, when you're working in your studio, put your glass of water that you're drinking far away from the painting table. This is a tip. This is going to be pretty darn quick and easy. I am using a 1-inch flat wash brush. This is the Simply Simmons watercolor flat brush. I keep wanting to say flat round. How is that a thing? Wow. So I'm getting my paper wet. I don't want it to be sopping wet, so I'm taking some of that water off that I just put on. But I do want it to soak in. First up, we are going to put some dark blue, and I am grabbing the ultramarine and mixing it into some of this rose that was on my rose purple ultramarine color that was right here. I want to get a lot of paint with very little water in it. So now I want to suck out some of that water. All I'm doing to slurp out the water is laying the belly of the brush on a towel. Pick up a little bit more concentrated blue. And we are going to go in and kind of do a little hill. And then all of the rest of our color is going to work down from that. So darker right along there. I may need to find one of my palettes that has a bit of Prussian blue in it, because there's a couple things that I want to do that will go really, really dark, and this is not going to go that dark. I grabbed a little bit of the Daniel Smith Indigo. I want a really dark blue. All right. Oh, there we go. That's going to give me that dark that I want right along the edge of my little snowy hill. Now I'm doing this upside down. So that's the edge of my snowy hill. But I wanted to get that color going that way. A little bit darker right in there. And now we're going to grab a little bit of the sap green. Get that green. Maybe I need to add a little yellow to it, brighten it up a little. Want it to be a little brighter. It's a little murky. Don't want it quite so murky. Or maybe I do. We're going to give it a little bit of like a, sort of like a little aurora going on in there. Not a lot, just a little. And just mix that right up to the edge. I want these colors sort of mix and blend, not end up being too stripy looking. Maybe a phthalo green. Ooh, yeah, phthalo green. Or phthalo-ish green. There we go. Very blue. Getting some of those different versions of color in there. Come on. Maybe a little bit of that dark up there. Have it running through kind of like a cloud maybe. Ooh, I like that. All right. Ooh, that's pretty. We're gonna let that sit, and I need to go ahead and dry it. So first off, before we do anything here, I'm gonna put, I think, some snow falling. And to do the snowfall, I'm gonna take this bleed proof white, put it on, and then dry. Little palette right there. It's just not really a palette. Let's make sure that brush is clean. I don't want to put any color on the lid. And I'm going to scoop off and put the lid back on. I try to put the lid back on really fast so that, there we go, so that it doesn't dry out. I'm making snow with the actual white this time. Snow falling. Might even put a few more bigger spots of snow so it doesn't feel quite so much like stars. I want it to feel a little bit more like snow. So you get a few kind of those big, huge angel feathers. That's what we always called those big, huge snowflakes. Right. Got some of those angel feathers. Oh, that's very pretty all by itself. I want to put some silver down here in the bottom, a little bit of shine. So I'm just going to put a little drop of silver on my shiny palette here. And there's water in my brush, so the silver is going to shimmer and shine just ever so slightly. Might even put a tiny bit of some shadow into my silver. All I did was pick up a little bit of that blue mix. I'm just going to mix it right into the silver paint. So we get just a tiny bit of shadow. So then when I draw my my twigs in, because I think this one's going to be twiggy, not really a tree. Maybe I will just make my twig color with burnt umber and indigo. Burnt umber and indigo. I like that. That looks good. Scrape the paint out. Don't want to use it all up on that. I'll put a couple. I'm going to hold onto the brush from a distance. I'm just going to sort of dance it up and let it just run off the edge. And these are twigs, not trees. Although I'm going to make that one a little thicker. Let it trail off. You don't have to have this be perfect, you know? I didn't dry this either, so there's a little bit of gray happening. That's awesome. Just make your branches and your twigs longer than you think they should be. And then they'll be just about right. And I don't mind that I'm getting this thick and thinness going on. Branches, you know, when you see them from different angles, you can get that sort of thick and thin look. See, it looks funny when it stops right there. Make it longer than you think Little twigs. I want to grab a little bit more, make it a little darker. Sweet. Let them cross. This is not the Ghostbusters. You can cross your streams or cross your twigs. Isn't that sweet? Now, the last thing that I think I'm going to do on this one, because this card's pretty much done, is I want to take some of that dark red and I'm going to choose a spot sort of off center, maybe up high. Yeah, right about here. I'm gonna make a little dot, and then I'm gonna pull it down. Like that. And you're going, that's awfully dark. It'll be good. It'll be good. I want to dry that though, because I want to put a little tiny bit of dark onto it to make it into a little cardinal. But I need to pull his little pointy bit up, top of his head, before I do that. Maybe even make his back a little bit rounder. There we go. And then we'll dry this real quick. And now I'm going to take a finer brush and some of that indigo dark color, where a little bit thicker. I'm going to put the dark. There. Little orange for his beak. That dark isn't quite dark enough. I think I'm going to take just some straight indigo. Give him an eye and his little beak. Little shadow. He's cute. You know, he's not a... He's just a cute little bird. Soften that shadow. Doesn't need to be so strong. And then we'll dry. Oh, then I'm going to put a little bit of this bleed-proof white in some of these spots on the branches, because it makes it look like they're, you know, actually in the snow, and they're catching the snow. So, snow on the branches, catching in the little nooks and crannies. And this is where you start cursing yourself for drawing so many branches. That's okay. This is an experiment. I'm learning how this all goes together. I hope that you're enjoying learning along with me. If you are, make sure and click that like button. You know? Help me get to that 100,000. I'm really close. I'm really close. I'd love to get there for Christmas. So if you want to help me get to 100,000 for Christmas, that would be lovely. As long as this is a channel that you would like to come back to and, you know, continue watching. I'm not going to ask you to sign up as a subscriber if it's not something that you know, would normally come back and watch. Because YouTube does not reward me for getting subscribers with people that they just hit subscribe because they want to help, but they're not really interested in coming back. Just one of those things, you know? I'm just putting snow along in some of these spots where I think it will kind of grab on and maybe build up a little bit. Oh, that's making the total difference on here though, isn't it? It was looking a little bit flat, but as soon as I started putting the snow on here, boom. Now this part here, I'm fast forwarding because you don't need to watch me do every single little bit of this. You've got the idea. You can do it. Very light. Make my little signature box. All right. Isn't that sweet? And it's not a long card to do. So, you know, altogether, this took me about 20 minutes. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to pull the tape on this one. I am so excited to do that. All right, let's get that tape pulled. One done. Oh, that's so pretty. Now you see there's this little spot of paint up here. I can just put just a little bit of that bleed-proof white onto it, let it dry, and we're not even going to notice. Remember that cardinals are seen as a message from someone who is not with us anymore. And, a lot of us have that going on right now. So thank you very much for hanging out, doing this fun little painting, and I hope you'll share it with somebody that you love. Thank you. Remember to go out and do something creative. Take care of yourself so you can take care of those around you. Make sure to share your artwork with me by tagging me at Deliberately Creative on social media. And I'll see you again really soon. Bye-bye.